Another batch of election results any minute, with several local races still undecided. We will bring those to you as they drop.
As of right now, we are taking a look at the Washington Secretary of State numbers. Right now, Steve Hobbs looks like he's in the lead with 50.3% of the vote compared to Julie Anderson with 46.6%. We're reporting 58% of the vote in as of right now. So it looks like Julie Anderson still has some ground to make up with about 40% of the vote still out there.
Yeah, and again, this is yesterday's results. We want to emphasize that those numbers are expected to, or I should reiterate, those numbers are brand new.
Brand new numbers that just came down.
There's a few numbers.
About 1.5%
yes.
in there so far.
So I want to clarify that. Those are brand new. So yes, Julie Anderson has a lot to catch up there. And let's move on to Kim Schreier and Matt Larkin.
Right now, Kim Schreier has 53% compared to Matt Larkin 47%. We're reporting about 62% of the vote is in right now. So still some time for Matt Larkin to maybe make up some ground there.
There was a quick dump from King County. That King County numbers were included in that first mix and are included in this as well.
Right. So we are closely watching this one. I know this is a closely contested race right there, and no one has called this race yet. So Congressional District 8, that is a hot seat, and we're going to keep an eye on that. Now, the next thing that we want to move on to is the District 3 race, Congressional District 3. And this is a really interesting race. The nation is watching this one. Right now, it's 53% to 47% with 65% there that's reporting. And what's interesting about this is I know that going into the election, we had a lot of pundits saying that Joe Kent there, who is, Trump backed, that he was going to be the favored one. And at this point, even New York Times this afternoon said that he was going to still take it, but he still is trailing the Democrat there, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez. So we would have to closely watch that one.
And Randy, why do you think he was trailing by so much?
Well, I mean, if the lead holds, that will be one of the top 5 stories in the country, one of the biggest upsets. And it will be because they are rejecting the conspiracy caucus. I mean, voters, and it's not just Democrat voters. The Democrat voters were going to vote for her anyway. But independents and Republicans were going, you know what? I have conservative values, but I don't share the conservative conspiracy caucus values. And I think he is falling victim to that.
This is another one of those, the Trump vote is actually hurting him in an area where there's half progressive and half that are not progressive. It's very different.
Right. And I just wanted to, people joining us now, we want to introduce you to our political analysts here. This is Randy Pepple on the Republican side. You've got Kathy Allen here on the Democrat side. You've been with us the last couple of days, bringing your insight to everything. So we want to go now to House District 10, and that is Marilyn Strickland. This is no surprise. I mean, this wasn't really in the headlines at all. People expected Marilyn Strickland there to win. This would be her second term. She had 59% to 40%. It was just called, apparently, producers are telling me that Marilyn Strickland, the race is officially hers. You see the check mark right there. Again, the reason why these numbers are fluctuating is because we are literally getting these numbers now, the latest batch just coming down. And so bear with us as we're trying to get in the latest numbers for you all. So what is your take on this so far? I mean, this is pretty given, right?
It is, but no, we've seen, like yesterday, things were 0.3, 0.4,
right.
And now today they're 57%, not 57.8. It's sort of like there is a little bit of draw off there. And what you're seeing is that this is a day that is not the big dump of all of the votes. It's tomorrow that is. But I did notice that as of today, the ballot box is now about 50% of the vote. If you voted and put your ballot in the ballot box, that's going to get counted tomorrow.
So we still got a good amount of votes out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're still looking at over 1 million votes to be counted. And right now, today is more of a cleanup day, and then tomorrow will be the major count. The problem is that several, if not all, counties will not count on Friday because of Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And so then we won't have a count until Monday. So whatever is not resolved on Thursday, you may have to wait until Saturday, Monday, over the weekend because of the veterans.
Right, and I want to add to that, Randy, because I know King County at least were telling me that they will work on Friday, but that is King County elections. I don't know about all the other counties, but King County is saying, hey, we're ready for Veterans Day, so we are expecting King County to give us some of those numbers. But we want to turn to Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling now, breaking down some of those races county by county for us.
And Jennifer, give us a look at what numbers are kind of standing out for you so far.
Well, those House races, of course, are of big interest, and we've been keeping an eye on that closely, as have the analysts. Of course, the balance of power hangs in the balance for 2022, so everyone is closely watching it. So let's take a look at some of our most closely watched and contested races here. First, let's start with District 8 with Kim Schreier and Matt Larkin. So Matt Larkin said during his speech last night at Republican Party headquarters, we're right in the middle of this thing right now. So he's sitting at around 47%, she's at around 53%, and what we're looking at right here is a lot of votes here for her, for Dr. Kim Schreier in King County. So this is a huge portion of her votes. Now, some of his best supporters have come from the areas of Snohomish County and some of the other counties on the east side of the district, also in the Pierce County area. So he is doing very well there, but she has that big voting block in King County. We've noticed early on, of course, the votes still coming in. So that is one to watch as well. This one, again, in Southwest Washington, a huge national spotlight on this right now, as you just mentioned. Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez with around 53% and Joe Kent with 47%. Now, some of her biggest votes are coming from Clark County, of course. It's, a community of 500,000 people. It's the fifth largest populated area in the state. So she is getting a lot of her support from there. Also from Pacific County out there to the west. So that's where some of her bigger votes are coming in her district. Of course, this is a district that has swung before. So Jamie Herrera Butler was primaried out in August of this year to Joe Kent. He's a big Trump supporter, and Trump supported him as well. And she, Jamie Herrera Butler, if you'll recall, also voted to impeach Trump. So there was some question of whether that played a role in her getting primaried. And now it appears, at least for the time being, that it's blue for the moment as those votes come in. Of course, there's a lot to count yet, but Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez looking like she is ahead so far in this race. And what's interesting about that, I might note, is that over here to the east in District 4, Dan Newhouse also voted to impeach, but that did not impact his election results at all. So he won handily there in District 4 against Doug White, and that race has been called. So big contested races here in District 3 and District 8. Also watching that you said just got called for Marilyn Strickland. We've been keeping an eye on that all day. A lot of her support, of course, coming from Olympia and Tacoma. She's at 57% there, and Keith Swank 43, and that race just getting called for her. So a lot of exciting stuff to watch county by county, and we'll keep tracking it. Back to you.
All right, Jennifer, thank you so much. And now another race that we were closely watching is obviously the King County Prosecutor's race. Yesterday, we had Lisa Mannion at 56%. Jim Farrell was at 44%. And, Jim Farrell, he was the one that was going harder on crime, more prosecutions. And Lisa Mannion, she's been there a long time, so she's kind of status quo there. I wanted to get the political analysts on this. A lot of people, especially, Jim Farrell, he was sponsored by a lot of the law enforcement community, and it doesn't look like it's translating in the votes.
Well, I think this is indicative of some of the other results that we've seen in partisan races, which is, the more conservative candidates are not winning in King County and in the near-end suburbs. And that's what Jim Farrell was kind of hitching his wagon to, the fact that I'm going to run as a Democrat, but I'm going to run as a Democrat who is strong on crime. He saw how that worked last year in the city attorney's race in Seattle, but it did not translate this year at all. You had a larger electorate, a more liberal electorate that's turned out so far, and it is not working in his favor.
And you can also say that today was kind of interesting because here, in terms of the greater Seattle area, 7 of us ended up getting brochures in the mail today from Farrell. Not good.
Yeah, that is not going to be handy for him. But also, one thing that I wanted to go back on, Randy, I know you've probably been asked this before, but what happened to this red wave that so many political experts, and it's political experts on both sides that expected this red wave, but really hit a blue wall here?
Yeah, well, I don't think it just hit a blue wall here. I mean, there is no red wave across the country. I mean, I would suggest that in years past, we have seen that. Washington State Republicans have been very excited as they've watched early returns, only to have that wall hit here. It's a status quo election here. I mean, we're going to pick up, we already have, as Republicans, picked up 1 seat in the state Senate. Right now we're down 1 in the state House, but I think we may well get that one back. It's pretty status quo, but when you're in a Democratic state, status quo is not good from our perspective. But across the country, the really big surprise was the lack of success in the House of Representatives. I mean, Republicans were expected to pick up 25 seats, and right now it's 5. I mean, are we going to get to 10? I mean, will we get even into double digits? And that is going to make a highly unmanageable House of Representatives. So welcome to 2 years of fun.
You know, and that cynicism that we talked about that you thought would breed us a kind of a red wave, what happened here is that voters heard so much of what was supposed to be anticipated, they just said, no, I'm not going to do that. And the sour move that the population was in didn't necessarily result in an anti-Biden move. It resulted in an anti-what everybody is telling me is going to happen. So they were much more independent, which is not unusual for in the United States.
And Kathy, so speaking of control of Congress, President Biden just gave an address about the midterm results so far.
Now, he specifically addressed how many political experts predicted a red wave of Republican victories, like we were just talking about. And that didn't happen, and the president says that he's not surprised.
Here's what we do know. While the press and the pundits are predicting a giant red wave, it didn't happen. And I know you were somewhat miffed by my obsessive optimism, but I felt good during the whole process.
Now, we still have several House and Senate races that are still a little bit too close to call. We're going to see if that enthusiasm changes once some more of those results start to come in. We're also keeping a close eye on Patty Murray in the Tiffany Smiley race. Now, the AP has already called the race for Murray, but Smiley has not conceded as of yet. She says that she wants to see more results to come in before making a statement. I was taking a look at some of the latest numbers there. Looks like Patty Murray still has a lead at 57% compared to Tiffany Smiley at 43%. And Hannah, I want to bring you in. This is one of the races you've been covering closely. So what's your reaction so far?
Right. You know, boy, were the polls wrong on this. You know, they were calling it to be a very close race. Turns out, huge margin yesterday, and it sounds like, obviously, you know, she's keeping that lead. It's already been called for Patty Murray. So I want to start with you, Randy.
Sure.
What was your take on this?
Well, again, Patty Murray was the favorite all along. She won. The margin is surprising because the polling that had been released in the last month of the election was steadily showing movement in Smiley's favor. And I think it's important to note that she's going to listen to the results. And Patty Murray was very gracious in her comments last night. Patty Murray did not declare victory. She hinted at it fairly strongly, which made a lot of sense. But she didn't declare victory. And now Tiffany Smiley has the opportunity to digest the results, take a look at the big numbers that'll come in tomorrow. And I suspect we'll be hearing from her then.
It's true. I think that what you're seeing right now is that this is the usual space you have. Usually on election night, if you are getting caught in all of that energy that goes on election night, all your fans are there in front of you, you're not going to say, I'm out. That's it. You don't do that. What you do is you simply say, I'm going to wait until all the legal votes are in.
So, Kathy, you know, one thing that the Democrats did, and their sticking points were abortion, climate change, and threat to democracy. They really pushed that this election cycle. And it sounds like with the voters' votes coming in, did that message seem to resonate with voters?
I think the a woman's right to choose did. Certainly for women, we have more women than men that vote here, and certainly for young people. But those young voters, we haven't got the numbers that really verify we had a great group of people that were going to vote. I don't think so.
Randy, any last thoughts here?
No, I think that we're going to see the Republicans close the gap somewhat, but it's not going to be enough on a lot of these outlying races. But we have several underlying races in the state House and state Senate that are going to merit attention because they are going to switch from where we're at right now.
Yeah, we'll have much more from both of our political analysts in just a moment.